Filmmaker's Basement. I'm Brandon Gasparino.
And I'm Edward Webb.
Alrighty, and this is our first show. We're a new show that's going to be covering entertainment, news, and reviewing some movies and all that, and giving you that good old information about what's happening in our entertainment world. So Ed, I heard you saw the movie Hustlers recently. What'd you think?
Yes, I did. Hustlers is about a band of exotic dancers who bond together once their strip club sees, not a real great financial period, and they come together to scam other rich clients of theirs. I nailed that synopsis.
Yeah, you did. I mean, it sounds hilarious from what you're describing. Is it like dark comedy or is it like...
Oh, it's very dark comedy. I was not expecting it to be as funny as it was. Which is probably the strongest thing about it is just the humor, but also the fact that it is surprisingly sad and it's easy to make me cry. Most things make me cry. The Cowboys, when we lose, makes me cry a lot. But this movie had me tearing up, and I was not expecting that.
So who do you think you recommend this movie for?
Who would I recommend this?
I guess that's an important question. Would you even recommend this movie?
I would definitely recommend it. Who I would recommend it to is, I guess, people who love the crime genre. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. People who frequent...
like grandparents, children.
Gentlemen clubs, if you will. I would not recommend it to children.
Yeah.
I probably would watch it as a child, though. But I don't want to be responsible for this.
I mean, you do have to ask when it comes to movies like this sometimes. Because there's like some movies where it's like, oh, this is so good. I don't want anyone to know I've seen it, though.
I want everybody to know I've seen this movie.
Awesome.
I endorse this movie. Jennifer Lopez. That's how I'm used to saying Jennifer Lopez's name. Jennifer Lopez, Best Supporting Actress. And I want this to be nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Okay. How would you rate it? Not necessarily, not like a star rating, Do whatever you feel is comfortable for you. How would you want to rate this movie?
It almost made me want to go to a strip club. So I feel like that's a pretty high rating as somebody who has a fear of going to adult clubs.
Oh, yeah. What's the rating on it, too?
Oh,
this
is rated
R.
It's rated R.
Oh, yeah, hard R.
It's not a hard R, but it's rated R.
Not a hard R. Interesting.
It's very classy.
All right. Speaking of classics, so recently Netflix came out with the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance show. So it was developed by Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews. The show was directed by Louis Leterrier. Can't say that name, so I'm trying my best. And it's a dark fantasy adventure prequel to Jim Henson's iconic film, The Dark Crystal. The film follows three Gelflings, Rian, Bree, and Deet, as they uncover the horrific truth behind their overlords, the Skeksis, and attempt to save their world. And I think it's important to note before we go into this a little bit that what I really love about this movie is that it's all practical. The whole movie is shot, all the characters are puppets, most of the locations are shot with puppets, and there's some sparing CGI in it, but it's only for moments when they couldn't do it with a puppet.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love about this.
I made this joke about 20 times off air, and I'm going to keep making it. You said, as soon as you said puppets, I did not go to the Muppets, also created by Jim Henson. I went to Meet the Feebles.
I don't even know what that is. This is the funniest part. I've never heard of Meet the Feebles. All I know is that it's a puppet show, and you thought Jim Henson made it. Oh, man.
It's not as fun anymore to make the Meet the Feebles reference.
No, when it falls on deaf ears, it's not as great. I would like to say I also really love the world building in all this. What the original did really well is it built up this really fascinating world with a lot of lore and story and amazing characters like the Skeksis. I think this prequel really holds true to that. It really sticks with these characters and builds on the world that it started in, which is very awesome and really cool for someone who really loved the original movie.
That's going to be my next question is, as a Dark Crystal fan, what do you think?
I would highly recommend this to anyone who's seen The Dark Crystal. It basically does everything the original did, and it does it better, which is honestly kind of amazing because it was made so long ago and kind of made at a really interesting time for Dark Crystal and all that. So I would highly recommend it. Even if you haven't seen the movie, that's better. This is going to be your first exposure to a really amazing universe.
So you say puppets. Would you recommend this to children?
I think children can watch this and be fine. There are some moments that it's kind of scary. It can be for children especially, but I think there's a lot children could get out of something that's kind of a little bit darker like The Dark Crystal.
Okay, so you think it's just on the cusp of not absolutely like traumatizing the children, but also giving them, nice little thrills.
Yeah, definitely not like the original movie. The original movie was a little bit out there, but this is definitely more kid-friendly. I think kids could watch this and definitely get a lot out of it. So now moving on a little bit into the news. So this is kind of our big story for this week. So Disney and Sony a couple weeks back actually announced that they hadn't come to a deal on what they were doing with Spider-Man. It was kind of up in the air. Were they going to stick together or were they going to go apart? Sony was really pushing their new deal, and this week we kind of found out where that was going. So they did reach a deal, which is always good. The deal was a little interesting, though. So Sony's now going to be paying for 75% of Spider-Man movies going forward. However, they've also signed a one-movie deal where Sony gets to make, like, whatever they want with Spider-Man, and Kevin Feige has to come out and help produce it. And Disney, on the other hand, gets to pay for 25% of the Spider-Man movies. They get to make one Marvel movie with Tom Holland, and they get merchandising rights for both movies. So definitely an interesting deal, and I'm kind of curious to see where they go forward with Spider-Man from this.
My prediction is that this is just going to keep going on for a very long time because nobody wants to give up Spider-Man. He's one of the more noticeable superheroes. He's one of the few that you don't even have to tell his origin story. You just kind of know it.
Yeah.
All right, bit by spider, grandpa died, or uncle died.
And especially given the success of Marvel in recent years with Spider-Man. Because before this, we'd had those Spider-Man movies that came out. Like, it was the Richard Garfield one, and then who was the other?
Andrew
Garfield, of course.
best
Andrew
Spider-Man.
Garfield, the best Spider-Man.
And
who was the other one? I can't remember
I forgot
his name.
some guy. He was in like the
Tobey Maguire.
He was in like
That's
the Great
it.
Gatsby or
Yeah,
something.
Tobey Maguire is his name. And both those, I think they did fine, but I don't remember them doing amazingly. But
no, they did amazing.
They did,
Toby's did amazing.
Toby's did amazing. Of course it did. But they seem to really hit like a good note with the Tom Holland one. He seems to be a really beloved like character for all this. So it's definitely gonna be a little bit sad to see if like they don't continue making movies with him after this.
And he seems to love the role himself. He seemed to be very happy once he got the news.
Yeah, I bet. And speaking of things that were well loved, so you saw The Irishman recently. You didn't see The Irishman. You have some little bit of news about it.
Yes, it recently just premiered at the New York Film Festival on Friday, I believe, to rave reviews. A lot of Oscar buzz already. Of course, it's Martin Scorsese. And, just the film lover in me is just very happy. Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, getting like the whole Goodfellas band back together. Or should I say Raging Bull band? Who knows? But I'm very excited to see this movie. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah, Netflix is making it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're going out, which is, I think you said 160 million, around that?
Yes, around that.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for Netflix to be throwing around, especially only on one project like this.
Especially it's not a comic book movie or anything. It's literally about a man who might have or might not have murdered Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, it's not, I wouldn't say art house is the word for it, but it seems more dramatic, which is definitely a shift from what people have been putting out recently with like all the big, like you said, superhero blockbuster movies and all that. So it's interesting to see they're kind of taking a risk with this, but it seems to have paid off with all the reviews, right?
At least critically. And, Netflix, they don't release their numbers, and this should be in theaters a little, just so it could be eligible for the Oscars.
Yeah.
So we will never know if it paid off or not, really, but
yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And I mean, it also gives it a little bit of legitimacy, because you said Martin Scorsese directed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember specifically from Cannes, I believe that film festival said they weren't going to be running Netflix films anymore because they didn't see it as like a legitimate thing to actually run.
Yeah, a lot of them don't. Even Spielberg, Martin Scorsese's old buddy, he doesn't see it as a real movie if it's not at least made for theaters.
Exactly. But then we have now we have this famous director who did this really big budget film for Netflix that's getting good reviews, and it's like, all right, what are you gonna do now? Are you guys gonna keep saying this isn't real, or are you gonna finally let him in? Speaking of things that aren't real anymore, so BoJack Horseman actually this week was canceled. The show was going into its 6th season, but it seems like Netflix isn't really willing to keep it going anymore, and especially given one of the cast tweets they sent out recently, it seems like there might be a little more going behind there. So Aaron Paul, the guy who plays Todd in the show, he posted this quote on Twitter. Fell in love with these characters just like everyone else did, but sadly Netflix thought it was time to close the curtains, and so we are, end quote. Quote, nothing we could do about it, end quote. So there's kind of some speculation here that it seems like Netflix killed the show. Why they would do that, no one's exactly sure, but it's kind of thought that it might be doing it for either budgetary or because like it's not exclusively on Netflix anymore.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Apparently, it's not like it's on other streaming platforms and such. So it's weird to see that like they're taking such like a high-profile show off the air, especially because it's one of their longest-running shows. Apparently, it started back in August of 2014. So definitely kind of sad to see this one going.
Yeah, and I'm not completely caught up with BoJack. It's been on my list for a while. Apparently, it's also on Comedy Central now. So. So maybe I could catch up on it then. They love to run shows into the ground.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, it is kind of sad to see it go. I know if you like a really big animation fan who loves this show, and as do I.
Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Honestly, I don't know what else to say. It's just really sad to see it go.
Yeah, I will say apparently it seems like the show's creators have kind of like found a good in between with this. Apparently they were kind of already looking to end it somewhat soon. Maybe not this season, but soon. So hopefully the show will get the end it deserves. Speaking of the end it deserves, one of our producers actually wants to hop on right now and talk about the Arrowverse universe and some of the news that came out with that. So Jimmy, what do you got to say?
Hi, I'm Jimmy Lucaris. I'm the producer of this show and many others. So big news came out in the Arrowverse this week. If you're not familiar with the Arrowverse, it is the slew of superhero shows that air on CW. They include Legend of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Supergirl, Arrow, and Flash. Every year since the beginning, pretty much, they've done a crossover episode between all the series. But this one's going to be different. It's called Crisis on Infinite Earths, which airs in December. It is a crossover not only between those shows, but also between as many other shows as they were able to get the actors from. This includes like the 1960s Batman, the 1990s version of Flash, and most recently it was announced that also Smallville was going to be part of this. This week, they started filming. And it's exciting for me because, well, I'm a superhero movie, TV show nerd, so that's why I'm here. They also, Erica Durance played Lois Lane in the original Smallville. She posted an Instagram photo of her and Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent on Smallville. They are filming their scenes this week, which is kind of cool because the picture shows them embracing each other in front of a barn, just like they're back at Smallville. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also, Brandon Roth on Friday posted a few pictures actually, of him as Superman. If you don't know, back in 2006, Brandon Roth played Superman in Superman Returns. He also currently plays Ant-Man in Legends of Tomorrow. This is going to be cool because you're going to have him as Ant-Man also playing him as Superman in the same episodes. So to me, this is going to be fascinating. There's actually a lot of stars that are going to be playing two multi-characters. Lois Lane from from Smallville plays Supergirl's daughter on Supergirl. So it's going to be interesting how they're going to play each other off. If you haven't seen the pictures, we'll obviously post them up in post. But Brandon Roth's Superman is aged. He has a different S on his chest. This time it's going to be from the Kingdom Come comics, which shows an older, more bitter Superman after Lois Lane has passed away. And I find it interesting because it's going to show what happened to Superman after the 2006 version. And judging by the photos, it looks like a lot.
Yeah, so I actually did have a question in reference to this. So it seems like we got a lot of characters coming on, all that stuff. Have they said anything about a runtime, like how long this is going to be?
Yes, it's going to be 5 episodes.
Okay.
3 episodes are going to air in December, and then they're going to take a hiatus, and 2 episodes are going to air in the beginning or sometime in January. This is also going to serve as the end, like the series finale for Arrow. Because last year, Stephen Amell, the guy who plays Arrow / Oliver Queen, announced that he is done with the role, that he's moving on, and he's basically done. So they needed to send him off in a big way, and I can't imagine a bigger way to have this done.
I mean, it definitely seems like a great way to pull it off, especially considering how well the DC shows have been going ever since they started coming on. Like,
this is
wrapping them all up together with one big finale seems like a pretty great way to sign everyone up.
well, just signing off Arrow, but Flash, Supergirl, all that stuff's going to continue. They're actually adding in 2 new shows are going to be coming off of this too. Batwoman was teased last year. She was in one of the episodes. After Arrow ends, Batwoman's going to be taking over that time slot. But they also just announced that there's going to be a Black Canary TV show that is in the future, taking all the Black Canaries that have appeared and putting all 3 of them into one show. So that should be interesting. Speaking of, so.
Have they mentioned how many characters are going to be this? I know you mentioned there's going to be a lot coming in, but it seems like they've got quite the cast on their hands.
They do have I don't have the numbers. Sorry.
Huh?
Nothing. I don't have the numbers, but there are quite a few. There's, like I said before, you got the 1990s Flash coming in. There's even the guy that played the voice of Batman and Bruce Wayne in the animated series. He's coming back, and the video games too.
Yeah.
He's coming back, and he's actually for the first time going to be playing Bruce Wayne as an older Bruce Wayne in front of a camera for the first time. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely seems wicked awesome for all of them. Hope it turns out well and all that.
So is there anything, like any upcoming movies that you're excited about?
I'm definitely looking forward to the Joker movie that's coming out this week. It definitely has that cool look going on to it. Both the trailers they've released so far have looked absolutely, at least for me, have looked absolutely amazing. So I'm definitely excited to see it. In addition to that, it also is looking very good for a DC movie, which is kind of unusual given their track record so far.
The director, his name escapes me, but he said that
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips, thank you. He has said that he wants the movie to feel like the old Scorsese films from the 1980s, like Taxi Driver. So, and it looks that way.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that. And it has a very dramatic feel to it, which is unusual for a superhero movie in a way. I wouldn't assume, given the Marvel formula, they haven't really been like that, but
well, I think
this new attempt seems kind of cool.
I think DC has learned that trying to micromanage has failed them, so letting an artistic view come on is a good idea.
Yeah, well, definitely good for them. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like they did an amazing job.
Eddie, what do you think? Anything that you're looking forward to in the future?
Not necessarily. I haven't really been keeping up with film news this recently, but first
Terrible
one that
thing
comes
to
to mind
say right now.
First thing that comes to mind is Little Women, the Greta Gerwig movie. I'm very excited to see that.
Tell me about it.
I don't know much about the property, but I love Greta Gerwig and I love the cast. So
Yeah, I read a little bit into it. It seems like it's going to be her kind of shtick, though. That is a little interesting coming off Lady Bird and doing that, which was kind of a little bit different, but it'd be kind of cool to see what she does with it, what she brings to the property and all that.
All right. Well, looks like we're almost out of time, so we should probably start wrapping this up. I'll let you go. You're the host.
Yeah, thank you all for watching our show. Thanks for visiting our basement, dropping by, checking us out. I'm Brandon Gasparino.
I'm Edward Webb.
And we're signing out for today.
Also, if you like this content, there's plenty more going to be on YouTube or STN. If you're on YouTube and you don't know what STN, it's the Student Television Network at University of Hartford. So check us out on YouTube, Facebook. It's falls under either STN or Name Pending Productions. Have a great week.
And one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
Special thanks to our friend Al-Tariq Shakur Harris for making our beautiful logo.
Yes, thank you very much. It's very nice looking.
How could I forget him?
Wicked
I don't
awesome.
know how.
I'm a terrible person.
Yes, you are.
Thanks, guys.